All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CAGcast episode number 692. I'm your host, GBD, here in Long Island, New York. And as always, we're joined by a man who also has his and hers solid state drives, Wombat.
Solid snake drives?
State.
Solid snake steaks?
I had to decide whether it would be better to say SS. What would be more awkward, to say SSD or solid state drives?
I got that
You can't
SSD.
win, really.
I got that SSD.
At least you got the reference.
Yeah. I like sloppy steak drives.
We'll be making fun of that later in the show, so don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. Sloppy steaks.
Welcome to the show. Don't start breaking up.
I was a real asshole when I played on my PlayStation. We used to go down to Super Briani's and get the sloppy steak drives. I had a sloppy steak drive and my wife had a sloppy steak drive, and we would swap them out so we had different games.
You can't just do, I think you should leave.
But I was
bits.
a real piece of shit.
Do you know the name of the restaurant where the old guy who was a piece of shit went to eat?
I couldn't even remember the restaurant that he went to. I just kind of made it.
To eat the chicken pasta?
Where was it? What was it?
Ciccolini's.
How many times have you watched that?
Only once or twice, but I just thought that was
once or twice or
Ciccolini's is very funny.
All of that is very funny.
Okay, now for some other bits from I Think You Should Leave.
I let my son watch the tables bit, the driver's ed tables.
Oh, okay.
And that's a reference that comes up a lot in the house now that my wife and daughter have no idea what we're talking about.
I let Ty watch the whole season.
Yeah, I'm sure he enjoyed it. Yeah, but he's almost 14.
You know what's interesting is that I've learned that I inadvertently curse so much around the house that it's completely turned Ty off to cursing.
Mm-hmm.
And I never hear him curse at all.
Same with my kids. They hate hearing the expletives because when I'm in the house, I don't care.
Cause like we're at Ping Pod today, and like it's a bad habit. I'll miss a shot and I'll just be like, fuck. And I feel bad not just because he's there, but there's other people playing too. They don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that fucking shit from this motherfucker.
Yes. No fucking bad language in this goddamn piece of shit show.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we started the show off with a exclusive highlights from Ty and I's trip to the city today, where we went to Ping Pod and had a wonderful 2 hours of table tennis, condensed down to 8 minutes of highlights for your viewing pleasure. That's what you get if you come into the show early. But meanwhile, you haven't taken the train in a while, Wombat, right?
No, we're going into the city on the 14th.
I'm just going to prepare you now. There may be assholes, maskless assholes. So MTA, the rule is you have to wear a mask on the train, any public transport, and inside a station. So we're on the train going into the city. 6 to 8 guys get on the train, and none of them have masks. The train is like, medium crowded. None of them have masks. They all sit down like together in like their own area. And I'm just like, this is not going to be good. This is going to be a problem. The train continues to get more crowded. The conductor comes, doesn't say anything to the guys. And in fact, the main guy who's like, they're like, I don't want to like make this like a cultural thing, but the guy was either speaking Hebrew or some other Middle Eastern language. It was probably Hebrew.
Did you go to school for that?
I don't even know. I had like headphones on, and it was the whole situation was making me angry. Like I'm sure Wombat, if Wombat sees a maskless guy on the train when he goes to the city soon, you're going to get angry, right, Wombat? Is that your first?
I am also because when I go into the city, and now I'm wondering maybe I just drive in because I'm going to have my son with me and he's not vaccinated.
I'm just going to tell you, prepare for assholes. So the guy's no one's wearing a mask in this group. The conductor comes to check the tickets. Not only is the guy not wearing a mask when the conductor comes, he starts like joking with the conductor, like, hey, maybe I don't need to show my ticket today. Isn't it like no show day or something? Just like in my opinion, showing like, hey, not only am I not going to wear a mask where everybody else on the train is, I'm going to like do this thing with the conductor where like I'm just an asshole into his face and he's not going to do anything about it. Right? So the conductor doesn't do anything about it and walks away. He checks the guy's ticket and leaves. And the guy behind me says, what, none of these guys, when the conductor comes to check his ticket, he goes, what, none of these guys have masks, can afford masks? And the conductor goes, oh yeah. And he turns around and walks back and he goes, guys, you have to wear a mask on the train, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the main guy was like, yeah, he was a big baby, right? He was gonna make a big deal about it. Other people like start to put the mask on, the other guys with him, but this guy wasn't gonna do it. And then I notice later, as the train gets more and more crowded, the woman behind him starts yelling at him. I had my headphones on because I was getting angry just watching this, and I knew something was gonna happen. And I'm like, I'm just looking to have fun. And I got my headphones and I see there's something going on. And when I take the headphones off, the woman's like scolding him. And the guy's like, you're so rude. How do you not know? Maybe my mask was stolen and I have no mask. I mean, you're so rude. And, he's like a baby. Like this guy's like a 50, 60-year-old guy, like
So
acting
an
like an 11-year-old.
An older man from Long Island, yes.
And
that description fits, yes.
And like just like such an asshole about it. And the woman, as soon as she says that, the woman pulls out a mask for him. It's like, here's a mask right here. I got one for you. And he's like, I'm not taking your mask. And that's my weird Middle Eastern accent that you can't tell what country it's from. But and I was just like, oh my God, this is just like so like all the kids are wearing masks. Like everybody, this guy just wants to be like, he's just, and I went from being angry to like feeling like embarrassed for his, like all the people that were with him. Like he's probably like that all the time about everything. He's a huge asshole, and all of his friends and family just are putting up with it at all times. So I'm like, I just embarrassed for the guy. So now we're getting to Penn Station, and when the train pulls into a crowded train pulls into the station, everybody's got to sort of stand up and get into the aisle and then get out of the train. Perfect time for a confrontation with some maskless assholes. And I noticed, like, right before the train pulls into Penn Station, the guy, without saying anything or doing anything, the main guy gets up and just walks out of the train car while the train is moving into the next train car and just like exited from some other train car because he was such a pussy that he couldn't even handle like the old lady behind him yelling at him when he got to Penn Station. He bailed right then and there.
I hate everybody.
I know. It was so I'm just saying, get ready for that. Like that. And I've seen other, Mrs. Chiefy was on the train the other day. Not only did the guy have no mask on, he was vaping on the train. I showed you the picture. I sent you the picture.
You showed me the picture. Yeah. I'm like, ugh. My son really wants to go to the Natural History Museum.
Which is awesome.
Yes, which is awesome. That's not the question. He really wants to go. My wife and daughter are going to Colorado next weekend for an affair. And
she's having an affair?
Yeah, she's
in Colorado?
No, a bat mitzvah.
Oh.
And her best friend's daughter's bat mitzvah. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to burp really loud, but I thought it'd be disrespectful. So
they're flying to Colorado for that. So it's just me and Elliot. We're like, oh, this is the perfect time. We'll go to the Natural History Museum that weekend. But I'm sort of like afraid that everyone is.
The train is not going to be a good situation. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, because again, he's 10. He can't get a vaccine. But
right.
if everyone on the planet wasn't such a big gaping wound of an ass, and got vaccines like they're supposed to, then I wouldn't have to worry about this nonsense.
The other problem is there's a lot of there's guys injecting themselves with drugs on the street now.
Not vaccines?
Not vaccines, unfortunately. The wrong things. They should be.
They should give those guys.
There should be free heroin in a tent, and we come in and we give you the vaccine. And heroin. We'll give you heroin too. Why not? Yeah. That's a good idea, actually. Free heroin with the vaccine. I warned.
Didn't they used to do drugs for guns? Wasn't that a thing that happened?
No,
once?
Money for guns.
I know they did money for
guns. They never gave out drugs when you gave them guns.
I feel like wasn't that like a thing once?
Maybe a gang in a movie, like some gang.
I don't know. I could be making that. Could have been like a comedian's bit that literally just fell in my brain. That's a thing that happened. So
I warned Ty, when we go into the city, especially where this ping pod is, I've seen people shooting up several times, and I just told Ty, if you see some weird shit, just don't stare at it, because that's gonna make the people upset, and they're gonna potentially come at you. So just understand there may be some potential for some bad stuff, try not to stare at it, and we're just, we're going to move by it quickly. Everything's going to be fine. So, and this time I tried to take a safer route, like Wombat knows that area very well. So he could probably think of an area from Penn Station, just going up north to Times Square to try to avoid like the most scary spots. But we walk up 7th Avenue, like right, Wombat 7th Avenue is relatively like pretty good. Like,
yeah, if you're going to Times Square, you want to walk up 7th or east of that. You don't want to go west.
I fucked that up a couple of times by myself. I realize that now.
I remember, and I'm going back like 11, 12 years. My walk to work, because before my office moved, was along 8th Avenue in the teens. And I would walk it from Penn Station. I would walk 8th Avenue from the 30s to the teens.
Yeah.
And in the morning, 8th Avenue in Manhattan, it was so depressing. Every morning. I mean, it was just like you said, just people with needles and there was always a woman crying. It didn't matter
right,
what day it was. There's that. Have you watched John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch?
No.
They do a whole song on white ladies crying on the street in Manhattan. And that's for those who have seen it and aren't aware, that's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
It is a real thing.
You know what else is a real thing?
What?
Weed World. You know about Weed World?
No, what is Weed World?
Because we walked by it and Ty asked me about Weed World.
Oh, you mean the store on 7th Avenue? It's still there.
Right. It's still, so it started off as like a giant like an RV, I guess you would call it, that would sort of park in Times Square.
Food truck.
It's bigger. And it said, well, maybe not. Maybe they've upgraded.
That sold food. That's a food truck.
Right. So it says like they pretend.
Didn't say small or
I'm
large.
sorry. I shouldn't have corrected you. They pretend like they're selling weed, but they're really selling lollipops that have like weed names. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you can't sell weed in Manhattan, even though weed is legal now. Anyway, so we walked by Weed World and Ty's like, what's Weed World? What's going? And he's like, and I was like, oh, and I had to explain, like, basically it's a scam. It's a scam that sells lollipops that's supposed to, people think they're buying lollipops that have weed in them, but they're just expensive lollipops.
I thought they had CBD in them.
They don't even, it was before that even happened. Like they had that truck that you're talking about, like was well before the CBD craze. And CBD is not mentioned anywhere on there.
They were like weed flavored lollipops.
Right, exactly.
Not for children. It would say in big letters, not for children.
Anyway, I explained to Ty, I was like, look, these guys are just holding on.
Not for children.
They're
children?
No, they're not. Okay, let's try this again.
They actually are, because they're just lollipops.
Are not for children.
They're just lollipops with sugar in them. That's it. Regular lollipops. Anyway, it'll eventually be a weed store, probably like next year. I'm guessing, or soon whenever they figure it out. Soon enough. I told Ty, don't worry.
When Kathy Hochul is the governor, then everything will change.
Well, Cuomo got the weed legalized, so you got to at least hand him that. But it's to cover up his scandal. His scandals.
Exactly. When he's out in about 2 weeks and Kathy's in,
right?
I have faith in Kathy.
Right. I got another good story for you. I had a busy week, Shipwreck. Shipwreck, did you have anything interesting happen?
I rode some roller coasters.
By yourself?
Did you go to Kings Island?
Yeah. Well, not always by myself. There was other people on them.
Is that where you told the guy, hey,
no, I didn't go by myself.
Can you take that disco ball and make it into a shirt for me? Did that happen at Kings Island too?
That's a nice shirt. It's like digital camouflage with a collar, so you can wear it at business affairs.
Well, it costs so much because the pattern is so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's where I go for. I go for the most complicated pattern.
It's another. I think you should
the most on a shirt.
You know that. I think you should leave bit.
No.
Oh, that's the whole bit. That the more complicated the patterns are, the more expensive the shirt is.
The shirt.
That's true.
Right. Dan Flashes.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Flashes. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name.
At the shops at the creek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to Kings Island by myself.
Oh,
my kids aren't big enough to ride the biggest roller coasters.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I went on the new one that opened I guess it opened last year at Kings Island, but
nobody
didn't go to Kings Island last year.
Right.
No, it's the first Giga coaster at Kings Island.
What does that mean?
That means it has a drop of over 300 feet.
Is it bigger than King de Ka? The one
No.
in Great? No, okay. My daughter went on that yesterday for the first time.
But that one, it's just up and down, right? Like it's not anything that exciting.
I
It's
don't
just very
know.
fast.
I believe so. She went on that. She went on Nitro, and she went on Superman, and she went on Green Lantern.
Yeah, see, I'm not a. So Orion's another one of these big ones. I think it tops out like 91 miles an hour, which is fast. It's fast. To
How
be
fast
strapped
is the
to
Giga
a-
one?
Right.
How
No,
fast was that?
King Dakar or whatever.
The one that you
called?
went on. The one you
That was
went on.
91.
Oh, that's
91
the
miles an hour.
Orion.
Yeah, that's Orion.
King Dakar is still the fastest roller coaster in the United States.
Yeah, I think it's like
King of
120,
Cock?
124 miles an hour, I think. Is that right?
128 miles per
28.
hour.
That's a fast cock. I can see why it's the king.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy those rides, but I don't like all of them are just all about the speed and going as fast as you can, because if you try to do a loop going those speeds, you just black out everybody. So
That's when you take their wallets. Because nobody's buying the pictures anymore at the end of the roller coaster. So you got to like have the change come out of their pockets.
mhm. I get those, but I buy the season pass to get all the ride photos.
I bought my tickets this week for Dutch Wonderland, so I'm all ready for
Nice.
that amusement park.
See, I would like that amusement park. I think I like wooden roller coasters and roller coasters that do a lot of loops. Those are my type of roller coaster.
It has the one wooden roller coaster, which isn't bad. It's tame, but it's still fun. And it has one metal roller coaster that I do not believe has any loops. So, yeah. So I don't know if you would love it. Your kids would have a very fine time there, though.
I find the wooden ones scarier than the modern ones because I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like the wooden ones could fall apart or I'll hit my head on something or my arm.
See, that's what I'm looking for. I'm
I
looking for
like-
something to shake me like crazy while I'm on it.
I like when they have
Like
the
we have
little
ones
hills.
it's like 55 miles an hour, but it seems like it's completely out of control.
right. It's thinking
Like
just-
that's much better than the like smooth as silk like 91 miles an hour.
No, I don't like that.
I went
like
on the
the-
Cyclone.
I like the safe one.
I think it was 2 years ago. I went on the Cyclone for the first time ever. And for those who don't know, that is like the first roller coaster.
Yeah, I've
in the
been on
United
that one. It
States.
was fucking terrifying. I
Yeah,
thought my head was coming off at every
It's
fucking
like
every turn.
you sit in and you think you're sitting in a roller coaster car, but it's like a lawn chair with a front, and it's made out of wood, and you can see the knot holes in the wood, and it sways in the wind. So it's got that going for it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's good design.
Bad design. Oh, so check this out. So I'm walking home from the grocery the other day, and I see a guy pushing a baby stroller up the hill that I live on, really steep hill.
Mhm.
And we pass like sort of right in front of my house, and I say to him, I say something like "good luck" or something, because steep hill and all that shit. And he says something like, "Oh, I do this all the time, so it's like no problem." And then he says, "Oh, by the way, like I'm a big fan," and often like I have people stop me in front of the house, and they love the house. I live in like this modern mid-century modern house, and people often stop in front of it and look at it and tell me, and then I have a whole spiel that I give them when I talk to them. So guy says that, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks a lot," and I in fact we bought like a plaque that we were going to put up to like have some information about the house, and I started to mention the fact, and I see like the guy like had no fucking clue what I was talking about, no interest in what I was talking about, because he was talking about he's a big fan of the CAGcast.
Weird.
What? I thought you were gonna say, and he thought I was that soccer player again.
No,
It's someone that actually said, "Wow, you look a lot like GBD," and you were like, "I know."
no, it was funny because he's like, "I don't know, like if anyone ever stops you." He said, "I don't know if anyone ever stops you, but I'm a big fan." And I said, "Actually, people stop me all the time because they, and I wind up telling them about the house. So like I have, and then I realized that he wasn't talking about the house, and
Who was it?
his name is Tom.
Tom. Hi, Tom.
He's a fellow engineer, Shipwreck.
Oh,
he's
nice.
a flavor engineer.
Oh, an engineer of flavors.
Yes.
What is a flavor engineer,
That's a
Tom?
chemical engineer that makes
he-
your food taste like stuff that it's not.
I know, but like, where's my bag of food?
Yes, Wombat survives on flavor engineering.
Seriously. I want to know what flavors I can attribute to Tom. So, Tom, if you're listening,
Yeah, I know the answer, but he probably doesn't want that.
I want to know when I can eat something and say to my children,
or drink something.
You know, one of our show listeners made this.
This drink doesn't really have bacon in it.
But do you know why it tastes like it? Thanks to food engineers like Tom.
Flavor engineers.
Yeah. It was really funny. Because I had this whole
can't be classified as food.
Right. I have a whole spiel that I give about the house that I'm, because does happen way more frequently than people saying I'm a CAGcast fan. He especially said he likes when Shipwreck busts on Wombat, or like we're learning sort of new things about Wombat. And I brought up the fact that he'd seen every episode of Saturday Night Live, and we didn't know we didn't know that until recently.
Yeah. Or like that I watch Jeopardy every day.
You do?
Yeah, every day.
That's not in your TV tally that you tell us about.
Because it doesn't count.
Is that a true thing, or are you just making a joke? Do you really watch Jeopardy every day? And is every day 5 days or 7 days?
I don't know if it's every day. I'm not
How
going to
many
say
days
that
per
every
week?
day.
How many days per week?
I mean, I would say minimum 3.
Okay.
Minimum 3 out of 5.
Just one episode, or are you like?
I watch one episode 5 times a week. Yeah,
no, I mean, like, I don't know how you consume Jeopardy on like the fresh ones or the repeats.
The new episode. There's a new episode on every day.
Yeah.
And
now, do you also watch The Wheel then?
No, I don't watch Wheel.
Because you don't like Pat Sajak, right?
That is a part of it.
He's too right wing for you.
Yeah, a little bit. So I watched the Jeopardy. I'm watching the guy on it now, like totally run the board. I keep forgetting his name, but he's insane. He's like an insane Jeopardy player. That's how I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
And this guy, like, the game starts off and everyone feels like they're on even footing. And then, like, by the end of the first round, he's winning by like 4 times what the other contestants have. And the other and I don't know if you ever watched Jeopardy, but when people start to like lose and they lose bad, they also like forget everything.
Right.
But they still try to answer in, and they get flustered. And at one point, he had $38,000, and the other 2 people were both in the red.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Well, that's, because the guy's probably so fast at buzzing in that they can't even get in. And then now they just try to get in on anything. And then they don't even know the answer.
And then they're clicking in and they're like,
I don't know this shit. I don't know this table tennis question.
Exactly. It's insane. It's like really crazy to watch. So I've been watching every episode that he's on because I like, it's fun to watch a master at Jeopardy. Like he's already the 8th highest grossing player.
Speaking of Masters of Jeopardy, Wombat, did you know that Shanafan is developing a Jeopardy game for us to play to celebrate our 700th episode?
No.
And we're going to play it live on Twitch.
Awesome. I did not know that.
I think I'm allowed to say that.
Cool. Did you see how I segued into something?
But you didn't even know.
I didn't know. That's the thing. You see how this is how
you can't
good
take credit
we are.
Okay. We're vibing and flowing. Hustle and flow?
Yeah.
The opposite of hustle and flow. What's that?
Flow and hustle.
Sit and talk.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some show feedback from shows past.
Sure. Spruce says, love the show. Have listened since the first episode. The show is rather special to me as I enlisted in the Air Force the same month it began. I've been listening to Cheapy and Shipwreck belittle Wombat the entirety of my service. I must say the best part of each show is when Wombat makes an attempt at a joke and the other hosts simply ignore it.
It's usually it's too intelligent.
Highbrow.
Too highbrow. It's right over our head. We miss it.
Yes, that's what it is.
Sometimes.
So there. He also says, however, as much as I understand Cheapy's stance and agree about his opinion on table tennis being an excellent workout, what does he think about a 12-year-old competing at an Olympic level? No disrespect. This is where the disrespect comes in. But for comparison, is a 12-year-old ever going to compete with a LeBron in any other sport?
Okay, I understand totally what Spruce is saying, and I have the perfect answer for his question. Table tennis is not a physical sport in that way. Even though you're hitting a ball with a racket, the ball is so light that it doesn't matter that much if you're 200 pounds or 100 pounds. The skill level matters more. Now, much like gymnastics, for example, where you have a lot of young athletes competing at the highest levels, where in fact, once you get too old, you can't even do that shit anymore. So yes, there are sports where you're physical and you're just not strong enough, but table tennis, you don't need to be, super strong because the ball is so light. And in this case, this 12-year-old, I think that was a girl from Syria. She wasn't that good. She lost right away. But that's not to say.
Take that.
And now she's in a gulag.
No, but this kid from Japan, Harimoto, started, and he was dominating at 14. And now he's older, and he continues to dominate. But the reality is, it's just, even though it looks like tennis, the ball is much heavier in tennis. So you need real strength to power through. Or table tennis, you need the strength to do the form properly.
I don't know that I'd say it looks like tennis.
Well, you're hitting a ball with a paddle. You understand what I'm saying? The form is similar.
I don't
to tennis.
get too confused when I watch him.
Okay, but I'm saying in terms for this guy's comparison, he's like a 12-year-old would not compete. Well, now in tennis, you had Coco Graf. How old was she? She's 14, 16.
It happens in women's sports more often, just because girls mature faster than boys physically.
Okay, but anyway, I think I've made the point.
You've convinced us all.
I
don't know what you convinced us of.
I already forgot what we were talking about.
I don't know.
It requires skill, not so much strength. The strength really comes from being able to move your body to do the actions properly. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
What else we got here, Wanda?
Sure. This is from culled from YouTube. Media skate. Miata skate. There we go. I got it.
The car.
Yeah, it took me a second.
I know the car's with a T. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And this is in regards to my issues with Flight Simulator on the Xbox. Wombat, did you download the additional texture packs available on the Flight Simulator menu? Download those. Should make your game look a lot better. This game also is heavily reliant on what your internet connection is like. Now, I have a gigabit of internet in my house.
Don't brag.
I just did. It's too late. And my Xbox is wired. So I'm not even using Wi-Fi. So it's usually running some pretty ding-dang good internet.
So get the texture packs.
And I did download all the texture packs.
Oh, you had already?
Yes.
Oh.
So let me tell you something about this game, though, that I noticed in between this show and the last show. We wanted to see Las Vegas. So we went to Las Vegas. And in the daytime, you can fly through the Las Vegas Strip. And it has all the posters up. It's Penn and Teller and David Copperfield and all the hotels and the pyramid. And it's cool. It's really cool. And then we're like, ooh, let's see what it looks like at night with all the lights.
Hookers.
No, it's not there.
What?
There's no strip if you try to fly through Las Vegas at night.
Why?
I think maybe it's just because of all the lights. It would be too taxing. So it's just not there at all. And I posted something about it on Twitter, and one other person confirmed that they also tried to fly through Las Vegas at night, and it's not there for them either. And apparently it's not an issue on the PC version of the game, just the Xbox version of the game.
So it's basically useless.
I think so. I just thought it was sort of weird. Again, maybe there's a listener out there who's like, no, I flew through Las Vegas at night. Here's what you got to do. But I don't know.
Got a PC. Just wait for them to fix it. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I just thought it was sort of weird.
Don't worry. The game will be taking up 200 gigabytes on your hard drive soon enough. Just hang in there. It's almost there.
The brightest spot on the planet Earth is not available in this game.
Right. It'll get there. They're taking over your hard drive.
I guess so. Something else has to. Right now, it's still Marvel's The Avengers.
I was going to ask about that. It's coming up. It's coming up.
I know. It's I can't delete. Can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Wakanda, you mean?
You can't. Yeah, Wakanda's almost here.
I can't wait to, look at all the default costume for Black Panther, which looks awful. They put freaking football shoulder pads on the King of Wakanda. And there's a whole bunch of extra costumes that they've already showed that look really nice. That'll probably cost about $10 each, and we'll never see my console.
The beer situation in the chat says that he's tried both Microsoft Flight Simulators on Xbox and PC, and he said it's significantly better on PC. It's a poor experience compared to PC. What he says.
I believe you.
But
and
I'll
I
tell
agree with
you, because this game is really unique in how it runs. It's like it's really running in the. You know how they talked about games running in the cloud for like fucking years. I think this is the only game that actually is doing that. And so I remember on PC.
No. You fly planes in
both. It's doing it in all senses. On PC, when it came out, it took a while for them to get it really working properly. So I think just have a little patience.